Daniel, a 24-year-old undergraduate, had come to Benin to pursue his studies. One day, while strolling through the village to soothe his boredom, he spotted a stunningly beautiful lady whose ethereal beauty left him speechless. She was incredibly attractive. Her brown, ebony skin seems pleasing to the eyes. Her pink lips resonate with her undeniable beauty. She had it all. Daniel stared at her and was enchanted by her demeanor so much that he instantly fell in love with her. Succumbing to his womanizing nature, who find pleasure sleeping with different women of all ages, he earned the nickname Playboy from his friends and peers. Daniel approached her by the riverside and insisted on carrying her heavy bucket of water. "Good afternoon," Daniel greeted from afar, calling her attention to him. "Good afternoon," she greeted back. "I have been observing you for some time now. How could a beauty goddess like you carry such heavy bucket in this hot sun?" he queried promptly. "I can help carry it to your house if you're okay by it," he said while smiling. She threw a sardonic countenance at Daniel. "I know I'm a total stranger, but you don't have to be scared. I just wanted to be of help, that's all." Daniel reconstructed his voice, creating a nice first impression. "I don't answer strangers, but that's very generous of you, sir." Before she could utter a word, Daniel already snatched her bucket of water like a thief, while she led the way to her house. When they arrived at her place, she took her bucket back from him, thanking him for his beneficial impact. "Oh, I forgot to tell you my name. It's Daniel. I will really like to see you next time." "Okay," she replied, leaving him on the spot. "I didn't even get your name?" "Paulina." She shouted her name on mid-air, not taking a single glance at him. "What a lovely name," he replied. Daniel could not stop thinking about the beautiful Paulina after their brief encounter. Her beauty, grace, and aura of mystery had captured his imagination. Over the next few days, he went back to the riverside where he first saw Paulina, hoping to run into her again. One day, his patience paid off when he spotted her fetching water. Daniel seized the opportunity and approached her, offering to carry her bucket again. Paulina hesitated at first, but eventually allowed Daniel to accompany her. They struck up a conversation as they walked, during which Daniel was even more smitten by her intelligence and quiet confidence. Upon reaching Paulina's house, Daniel set down the bucket but was disappointed that their time together was ending. Gathering his courage, he asked Paulina if he could take her out to dinner sometime. To his surprise and delight, she agreed. Their first date was lovely. They dined at a cozy cafe in the village and talked for hours. Daniel found himself opening up about his studies abroad in a way he rarely did with anyone. There was an almost magical connection between them. At the end of the evening, Daniel and Paulina shared a gentle first kiss. In that moment, Daniel knew he was falling hard for this girl. His old playboy ways now seemed empty. He wanted Paulina and only her. Over the next few weeks, Daniel wooed Paulina with picnics, gifts, and poetry. She remained rather reserved with her own feelings, though seemed to enjoy their time together. And while Paulina refused his encouragement to be physically intimate, Daniel respected her wishes. Just when Daniel felt ready to confess his love for Paulina, things suddenly changed. She became distant and flaky, often needing to cancel their plans at the last minute. Daniel grew worried. Could he be losing her affection? Determined to regain her attention, he would pull out all the stops, even resorting to a local witch doctor's fabled love potion if necessary. In desperation, he went to see the witch doctor in a remote part of the village. The old woman gave him a powerful love potion and assured him that just a few drops would make Paulina fall back under his spell. The next time Daniel saw Paulina fetching water at the river, he invited her on a romantic boat ride. She hesitantly agreed. As they rowed out into a secluded lagoon, Daniel discreetly poured some of the love potion into Paulina's drink while she was gazing at the scenery. Soon, Paulina began acting very strangely. She seemed in a daze, staring longingly at Daniel. Suddenly, she leaned in close to him. Just as Daniel thought she was about to kiss him, Paulina lost her balance and tumbled into the water with a scream. Daniel cried out in shock as Paulina hit the water. But instead of struggling to stay afloat, she dove straight down into the depths. Daniel peered overboard in disbelief as Paulina disappeared from view. Moments later, she emerged from the water, but no longer had human legs. A sleek, powerful mermaid's tail now replaced them. When Daniel saw Paulina's transformation, his eyes rolled back and he fainted, the shock too much for him to handle. The small boat rocked dangerously with his sudden collapse. With her powerful tail, Paulina quickly grabbed Daniel before he could sink. She knew she had to get him back to shore before anyone discovered her secret. She dragged him onto the beach, making sure he was safely away from the water's edge. Her heart was heavy, knowing this might be the last time she would see him. As voices and footsteps approached, Paulina quickly slipped back into the water. She watched from behind distant rocks as a crowd gathered around Daniel's unconscious form. When Daniel finally opened his eyes, he was surrounded by worried faces. His clothes were soaked, and his head spun with confusion. Had it all been a dream? But as he looked out at the calm waters, he caught a distant splash, a glimpse of a tail disappearing beneath the waves. Paulina was gone, leaving him with only memories of their impossible love. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. The image of Paulina's transformation kept playing in his mind. His wet clothes hung as evidence that it wasn't just a dream. He began writing down all the questions flooding his mind. How long had she been living among humans? Why did she choose to come to land? Were there others like her? Why did his love potion break her magic? Every morning before his classes, Daniel would go to the riverside, hoping to catch a glimpse of Paulina. He needed answers, but more than that, he needed to see her again. He started spending his evenings by the lagoon where everything had changed. Sometimes he would talk to the water, hoping Paulina could hear him, telling her that her secret was safe with him. He even carried water from the river daily, retracing their first meeting, hoping she would appear. His heart no longer saw her as just another conquest. She had become someone truly special to him. One night, under the full moon, Daniel noticed something different about the water. It seemed to glow with an unusual blue light. His heart began to race. Beneath the surface, he could see several sources of light moving in the water, like underwater torches drawing closer to where he sat. Suddenly, Paulina emerged from the water. "You've been coming here every day," Paulina said softly. "I've been watching you." "I have so many questions," Daniel replied, his voice trembling. "The love potion." "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "The potion didn't make me love you," Paulina interrupted. "It only weakened my transformation magic. We mermaids are immune to human love potions. Our hearts choose freely." Stunned by this revelation, Daniel realized why Paulina had seemed so mysteriously elusive about her true self. But he had genuinely fallen for her, for who she was, not what she was. Overjoyed that her secret was finally known yet understood, Paulina embraced Daniel, fishtail and all. Now, cognizant of the barriers their worlds presented, could their sweet but forbidden love possibly last? Daniel and Paulina were lost in bliss now that her mermaid's secret was revealed. Daniel would meet Paulina daily at their special lagoon, where she could take human form for a few hours before needing to transform back. Their joy was complicated by the obstacle of coming from two totally different worlds, but Daniel felt hopeful they could find a way to be together. However, the frequent visits to the riverside did not go unnoticed by others in the village. Daniel detected wary glances and hushed whispers from the locals whenever he passed by. Eventually, village elders approached Daniel's housing. They interrogated him about why a foreign student spent so much time alone down by the water. The elders cited old tales of vengeful mermaid spirits who lured men to their deaths. Daniel tried to shrug it off, but could not give any real explanation without exposing Paulina's true identity. The fact he kept visiting the river despite their ominous warnings made the villagers very suspicious. Soon, ominous rumors circulated linking Daniel to dark magic and water demons. Some even claimed he had been cursed by the mermaids. The wary villagers enlisted the witch doctor's help, asking her to divine Daniel's real reasons for going to the river. However, the love potion she had sold Daniel garbled her readings. Unsure if darker forces were truly at play, the elders decided to take matters into their own hands. They followed Daniel secretly as he went to meet Paulina one afternoon.
Before we continue, if you're enjoying this fascinating folktale, subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on more entertaining stories like this. It's free. By subscribing, you help support our community in creating and sharing these captivating tales from cultures worldwide. Subscribe now to never miss an upload.
Just as Daniel and Paulina were tenderly embracing in the lagoon, the elders emerged from hiding to confront them. Paulina panicked and immediately shifted forms, confirming the rumors of her mermaid self. Chaos erupted when the villagers witnessed Paulina transform into a mermaid. They reacted in horror and disbelief at her true identity. The elders accused Daniel of consorting with evil spirits and manipulating magic. They claimed Paulina had bewitched him into a forbidden romance. Desperate, Daniel tried explaining it was real love, not any dark curse. But the revelation only deepened the villagers' mistrust. The elders dragged Daniel away, leaving a distraught Paulina alone in the lagoon. Locked in a shed, Daniel begged the elders to let him return to Paulina. But they refused, saying mermaids were deceitful creatures who brought ruin to mortal men. They kept Daniel confined while deciding his punishment. Heartbroken, Paulina cried out Daniel's name from the lagoon. Her mournful mermaid song carried mystically through the village. Upon hearing Paulina's grieving melody, the village children snuck to Daniel's shed and freed him. Daniel raced back to the lagoon as Paulina's song grew faint. He arrived to see Paulina being pulled underwater against her will. The witch doctor had summoned a sorceress whirlpool to capture her. As Daniel frantically called her name, Paulina's hand stretched from the raging vortex in one final attempt at contact. Working fast, Daniel grabbed a magical talisman she wore and ripped it from her neck. Instantly, the whirlpool dissipated, releasing its grasp on Paulina. The pendant had been the source of the witch doctor's power over her. Now safely free, Paulina swam into Daniel's embracing arms. Yet with her pendant gone, Paulina's ability to take human form was also lost. She could never again walk on land with Daniel, nor stay long in the human world. As the lovers clung tightly, they both despaired that after all, they still could not be together. With the villagers now aware of Paulina's existence, would she be safe in these waters? Could Daniel possibly find a way to recover her lost pendant and regain their chance at love? Though Daniel and Paulina were briefly reunited, the villagers remained adamant that a bond between a human and mermaid was unnatural. They saw the sorrowful couple's affection as an abomination. Led by the witch doctor, the villagers ambushed the lagoon to capture Paulina again. They planned to put an end to her supernatural presence that had caused such turmoil. Daniel begged them not to harm her, but the villagers tied him up, not hearing his pleas. The witch doctor ensnared Paulina in another whirlpool while the elders readied their spears. With Daniel forced to watch helplessly, the villagers executed Paulina with their spears as she remained trapped in the swirling vortex, unable to escape her fate. Then, one elder turned his spear on Daniel as well, ending his life, if only to spare him the misery of living without his mermaid love. Their attack was brutal and swift. In the aftermath, the villagers disposed of Daniel and Paulina's bodies in the lagoon's depths. As the ripples settled over their watery grave, a pall of silence hung in the air. In the following days, however, a terrifying atmosphere plagued the village. Crops died overnight, fishermen's nets turned up empty, and a creeping dread gripped all. Then the visions began, ghosts emerging from the lagoon. First, Daniel's spirit appeared to the children who had tried to help him, seeking justice. Then finally, Paulina arose as a phantasm, glowing with ethereal anger at those who killed her and her beloved. As the village descended into paranormal chaos, they realized too late that Paulina and Daniel's love should have been left undisturbed, for not even death could keep their souls apart. The villagers were now cursed to endure the mermaid's vengeance. Months had passed since Paulina's mermaid ghost began haunting the village that killed her and Daniel. The once vibrant community now lived under a dark pall of the supernatural. The witch doctor tried in vain to exorcise Paulina. The elders desperately turned to priests from distant lands, begging them to purify and bind the mermaid's enraged soul. Those who stubbornly stayed behind were worn down by the merciless plague upon them, both natural and supernatural. Floods drowned crops, shark attacks increased, and some even took their own lives to escape Paulina's living nightmare. Even the witch doctor's magic could not break the mermaid's curse. She knew drastic action was required to stop the torment once and for all. The witch doctor sought out Daniel's lingering spirit, pleading with him to help restrain his beloved Paulina's wrath before the entire village was utterly destroyed. Though bitter over his own execution, Daniel still held sympathy for the innocent lives being tormented. The witch doctor revealed she alone possessed an ancient ritual that could reunite Daniel and Paulina's souls in the afterlife together, but at a terrible cost. It required a sacrifice and would strip her of all magic powers forever. Moved by the opportunity for he and Paulina to finally find peace, Daniel accepted the deal. He pled with Paulina's anguished spirit to forgive them. In that moment, the supernatural pall lifted from the village. Rains replenished crops, the lagoon glowed peaceful once more, and those driven to madness were suddenly soothed. From then on, villagers could occasionally glimpse the mystical outline of two souls entwined in eternal embrace. The spirits of Daniel and Paulina continued their love's journey together, finally undisturbed. And though the price was unimaginable suffering, their unified spirits had at last found the boundless joy they were so cruelly denied in life. The village preserved their legendary tale to remind that not even realms could separate two hearts destined to join. The end.